This is one of those situations where if a person has a justification claim under our self-defense laws, Chapter 9, I don't think it's right that people could be evicted.
We are the Armed Attorneys. Today we're talking about a terrible story out of Texas in which a mother defended herself and her daughter through castle doctrine and now is being evicted from her apartment for doing so. We're going to talk through what the law is in Texas. We're going to talk about what Richard and I are doing to fix it and what you can do too. But before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button.
And so today we're talking about Aaliyah Wallace. This happened up in Fort Worth, Texas. Kind of the facts as we know them. Aaliyah subject to a burglary about 1 o'clock in the morning. A couple of hours later, somebody tried to break in again. This time, she shot the alleged perpetrator, killed the alleged perpetrator.
While he was climbing through the window,
of her 8-year-old daughter.
Of her 8-year-old daughter's bedroom.
Yeah. The outrageous part of all of this is, in response for defending the life of her daughter and herself, she was served with an eviction notice, and it's brought a lot of people's attention to what the hell? I mean, and if you look at the news reports and how this is circulating, she's being kicked out for having a firearm. Now, I don't think that's necessarily the truth, and this is kind of the ticky-tacky stuff that gun grabbers love, because we do have certain protections in apartment complexes.
We do. So, in fact, in Texas, she cannot be evicted for simply possessing a firearm. And believe it or not, if we were talking to you, 4 years ago, that would not have been true. It has been the law only a short period of time here in Texas. And bear in mind, wherever you are watching from, if it's not Texas, it is probably legal for you to be kicked out of your apartment for simply possessing firearms, because it is something that is not generally protected absent a protected provision of law. So Texas went in, we passed this provision of law that says you absolutely have to allow renters to possess firearms in their own homes, in their own apartments. You cannot put in their lease they can't do it. You cannot evict them for simply finding firearms. So step one, right? But what can you evict people for firearm related, Richard?
Yeah, so we have this provision, and this is our kind of standard lease that we have in Texas. And most states will have, like, their association of realtors will have these kind of standardized contracts that they use. And I'm just going to go through this language very, very quickly, just so you kind of have an idea, because this framework likely exists elsewhere. And they talk about prohibited conduct. And it says, you, your occupants, and guests may not engage in the following activities: criminal conduct, regardless of whether there's an arrest or a conviction occurs, including but not limited to, and then they list a bunch of different crimes. And then they list possessing a weapon prohibited by law, discharging a firearm in the apartment community, or, except when allowed by law, displaying or possessing a gun, knife, or other weapon in the common areas or in a way that may alarm others. So this is where we kind of take a step back. So let's put that in plain English. So they're saying we can't, evict you for possessing a firearm or displaying a firearm in a manner
that's lawful.
That's lawful.
Yeah.
So that's
open carrying. Let's
open
say.
carrying. But what you see here is there's no exceptions to discharging. And I bet they would even say if you were to display a firearm, let's say outside of a holster, let's say somebody attacks you in the parking lot, you pull your gun and say, hey, get back, don't make me use this.
They're going to say that's a crime.
They're going to say that that's a crime.
Right. So I would encourage you, wherever you are, Google this, pull up your state's sort of standard lease that's recommended by your Realtors Association, see that there is a similar provision and see exactly what it prohibits you from doing, because we talk to people here in Texas over and over and over again who are absolutely shocked when they do get evicted. Now, most people we talk to, right, it's negligent discharge. You have a negligent discharge, you call your apartment complex, everything gets fixed, everybody's fine, and then you get served with eviction, which is completely lawful, although frustrating.
Right.
But this is sort of, for me, this is next level, because this is not, negligent discharge. Okay, get out of here. It's you defended through castle doctrine.
Right.
You defended your lives. Get out of here.
Yeah, let's talk about her justification for a moment. So here in Texas, this is going to be a justified self-defense claim.
Yes.
So
1,000% yes.
So not only that, she has a presumption of reasonableness because the person was attempting or was in the process of making an unlawful entry into her habitation. And so
yes.
And so that's when Texas law says that's one of those green light situations.
Yes. And even though, as you will see if you looked independently at these news sources, the perpetrator was in fact 14 years old.
Right.
Which is unfortunate, very sad. You don't like to see the life of a young person taken because that young person made a terrible mistake, but not the fault of the mother here. I mean, neither morally nor legally, right? The law does not care.
Right. And so we look at her justification claim. Good. I still anticipate this is in a big county. I anticipate that her case will be presented to a grand jury.
Certainly.
Ultimately, I'm hopeful that her case is no build. They find that this was justified. She's not charged with murder or anything like that. She could still get sued civilly. You know, it can't stop somebody from filing a lawsuit. And now kind of the next question goes on, hey, how do we stop this in the future? Because I do think that there are some legislative solutions to this.
There are. And in fact, there's already a Texas lawmaker, Carrie Isaac. She is interested in this matter, which is good because this is how we fix things, right? The reason that we know you can possess a gun in your apartment in Texas and can't be evicted for it is because lawmakers noticed that you could, and they went in and they fixed it. So that is very, very good. And what we do, and I say that not in the general sense for this particular instance, but what Richard and I do now is draft a bill and call Carrie.
Isaac. Yeah, call Carrie.
Call Carrie.
And that's what we intend to do in this situation. Representative Isaac, she's actually filed stuff that we've written in the past. We tried to pass automatic reciprocity here in the state of Texas last session. Made it out of committee. She worked very, very hard on it. We ran out of time, but I think that we could probably get some legs on this thing.
I would hope so.
This is one of those situations where if a person has a justification claim under our self-defense laws, Chapter 9, I don't think it's right that people could be evicted.
No, it absolutely is not.
And I think we should draft something to fix that.
I think we should fix that.
And then I think we call Carrie.
Yes, then we call Carrie. But what do you do generally? You take the same steps we're taking. So first of all, you pull that draft lease that's applicable in your state. You look and see what the provisions are. Look and see if this has happened in your state because real instances are definitely helpful.
Yeah, we call those impact witnesses. It's very helpful.
Very helpful. But whether or not you see anything, call your lawmaker and say, and you can send them the Fort Worth story. Say, I see this happen in Texas. I'm worried it could happen here too. What have you done to fix it? What can you do to fix it?
Yep.
That phone call, it's more impactful than sending an email. It's more impactful than anything else you can do. An actual phone call to a lawmaker's office works wonders.
Yeah, and we're in legislative season, so there's lots of primaries going on. There's a general election coming up at the end of the year. There's lots of campaign events going on. So maybe
people get a little more interested in what their constituents want around this time of year.
Yeah,
weirdly.
this is when some promises get made. So maybe you show up to a campaign event and bring this to the attention of the person running for office. But I do think that this is something that can be a legislative fix. And in the meantime, Miss Wallace has a GoFundMe. We're going to link that in the description down below. If you want to assist her in her legal defense here, that's where you can check that out. And we'll keep following this story and prepare a legislative fix for our next legislative session so that this doesn't happen to another Texan who's just defending their life.
And as always, leave us questions, comments below. What do you think about this story? What is the law in your state as to whether or not you can be evicted? And until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.
In this situation would be it's presumed reasonable and immediately necessary.
Situation.
No, it would be
I liked it. I'm sorry. I liked it.